You are listening to episode 133 of the Unnecessary Nonsense podcast, and in this episode, Dave's going to explain if that mustache has fooled the feds as he's evading them. That and more on this episode of the Unnecessary Nonsense podcast. I'm Carlos, and from an undisclosed location, David, or is it Pablo?
Maybe. Just if anything breaks through that door, just ignore it, okay?
I try to ignore everything happening on that side of the screen. So how are things?
Things are all right. I've added to my Sting collection. So I now have the autographed Surfer Sting to go with the autographed Crow Sting. Sort of bookending the career, so I like that. Otherwise, not too much is going on. I am still the regular caller in to the... Actually, I'll tell you this. To 80s Wrestling, the podcast, I actually was basically half the show last on their most recent episode.
So that is the last episode they're ever going to do? That's the end of the show? It's done?
Could be. You never know.
I'll need the ratings report when we get that one back.
And Brian the Brain from California was the other half.
Interesting. And why were you on for such an extended period?
Because nobody else called in. So I think it was just
Wait, Dave. So what you're saying? Hold on. Default.
Yes. To quote Homer Simpson, or paraphrase Homer Simpson, the two sweetest words in the English language: default.
Well, look at you. Hold on. Let me do this. So those who are seeing the video version, you'll see something has changed. But hold on, I'm doing it for a reason. Always time for the man. Always.
So, speaking of $1 Million Man, did you order the autograph?
No, I didn't. I actually bought one. It's funny because I've got it queued up here. So there was also a queue in addition to $1 Million Man cackling is always greatness.
But of course, you cannot deny it.
How about $1 Million Man autograph out of 5?
Nice.
Red refractor. So that is forthcoming shortly.
Nice.
Yeah, so yes, I still try to pick up my stuff here and there. I am picky with what I do grab. I don't know if you saw it on Instagram. At the expo, I picked up those Swanson cards. There were 2 black Swanson cards, and one of them was the Macho Man Randy Savage, and one of them was the $1 Million Man Ted DiBiase.
I did see that.
Yeah, so classic. And they're actually the cello packages because they had multiple cards in each little packet, and then they've got some wrestlers in the back as well. So it's kind of an interesting little set. They were done in those Swanson, I think, TV dinners, basically.
Yeah.
So yeah, in the early '90s. So that's it's still Titan Sports days back then.
Cool. So would you say your most unique find from the expo?
It was the most different one, yeah. The rest of them were pretty straightforward. It was funny because a couple of the things that I picked up a lot of duplicate stuff. My intention, they were either patch upgrades or slight upgrades in a couple of categories. But then as soon as I got them back and set everything up, I said, okay, great, now I've got this. And then I went and flipped the other one on eBay and basically made my money back and then some. One I literally bought for $80 and then sold it for the equivalent of $125 after shipping taxes and everything. And
Nice.
yeah, just literally flipped it. It lasted less than a day on eBay. So I just
So
went
you
priced
knew,
it.
you bought it strictly with the intention of doing that.
It was actually a worse version than the one I had. My version was better. But I was like, well, if I get a good price on this, I know I can flip it. So I said, like, what's your price? And he goes, $80. Great. I'll take that. Ship it
Nice.
off. Done. So we'll see. And I actually sent some stuff over to ComC. So that's my first shipment in to ComC to potentially move some stuff. And the other thing I did with
So
ComC.
question
Go.
before, because to clarify for ComC. So in order to post anything on there, do they have to have it in hand first?
Yes.
Yeah, I figured.
Yeah, because so basically what happens is at the expo, they'd have their booth there. And the process was actually surprisingly seamless because all you really had to do was just estimate how many cards you had because they're going to process and count them up anyway. They have to post them individually and scan it and do all that stuff. So that's part of their process. But you give them a ballpark, like, okay, approximately how many cards do you have there? Okay, this amount, blah, blah, blah. Okay, great, we'll intake it. And they print out a little thing with a barcode and then put it inside the box of what you're submitting. And then they go take it to the processing center. And then once they've done the processing, whatever amount of time it takes, they've got a couple different speeds, but whatever time it takes, then those ones will appear on your account. So then you can hang on to them for a while there. You can set them up for sale or do whatever you wish to do.
Right.
So you've got your options. So that'll probably be in the next month, 2 months, whatever it takes. I pick the slower service. I go, take your time. These are extras that I just want to move on from. So eventually I'll try to sell those off. And then I took advantage of Upper Deck's e-pack thing. It's digital cards, except for certain ones like the inserts and the parallels and those can actually be turned into physical cards. You can actually transfer them directly over to your ComC account. And as it turns out, that process only took about 5 minutes. And they were on my ComC account, and I was almost able to sell some stuff immediately. So some Jade Cargill cards sold, Luchasaurus sold, and a couple of the inserts that I pulled. Even an MJF card sold.
Nice.
So I got a little bit of money from those in my virtual pack pulling ways.
And then you can either basically spend it on ComC or cash it out.
Yep, you can. You can indeed.
Nice. So other than that, sorry, so you were going to say you had another expo story you're going to talk about.
So yeah, so a lot of those were good. Now what I'll say is that one of the fun things for me was kind of seeing how this expo was going to compare to some of the previous ones. And one of the big observations I saw is that obviously, you can see that and I think the last time we spoke, we talked a little bit about the economic factors, and a lot of that is kind of playing out as expected. But I also was curious to see how that would affect the expo as far as buying, selling, and the whole nine yards.
For sure.
And people were still buying, but it was one of those things where people were a lot more careful, a lot more deliberate, and probably correctly so. But it meant that the high dollar stuff would have to be the right deal. It had to be the right person, the right buyer, and the right situation. People weren't just splashing cash. But it was kind of fun watching some of the American dealers who were coming up from the States who hadn't really set up at the expo before and didn't have the familiarity. And in their mindset, it was that, oh, well, this Canadian show, people aren't really buying any high end. It's like, well, that's actually not true. They might not be buying what you were bringing because you were pricing it, right up to comps and trying to squeeze a little bit of money in there. But the truth is, if you don't have things that people are really interested in, they're not going to reach to go for you. They're not just there to splash cash and just buy for the sake of buying. I know that there are some folks that spend 5 and 6 figures, but if you have to have what they want. If you have what they want, they will buy it and they will spend the money because for them, it is something that either is for their collection or something that they were comfortable buying because they felt that the price they were getting was fair for their own purposes, even if their intention is to flip or whatever. And that was the same situation that I gave with that example. I bought some of those cards with the knowledge that these were duplicates that I didn't need another copy of necessarily. If it was an upgrade, great. The upgrade goes in the collection. The other one came out and then get resold. I knew I was going to get the money back that way. Or it was a case where, like that one, I bought it with every intention of flipping that exact copy. I was going to buy it and then boom, put it in another format, sell it somewhere else, and there you go. It was possible to do that. It was possible to do those deals and buy money, but you had to work harder. I think maybe what threw people off is that because suddenly the market is cooled so much, you have to work harder. You have to buy smarter. I did the same thing on eBay this past week. I had a card that I bought back in 2018. I actually had an Aaron Judge rookie, a PSA 10 Aaron Judge rookie. I paid the princely sum. It was already graded. I paid the princely sum back then of $24 because Aaron Judge was always injured. So he was cheap as dirt.
Right.
Now here's the thing. Obviously, he's off to a great start. I think he's at like 25, 26 home runs, something like that. And obviously, the Yankees
he's
are in
on
first
pace.
place.
I saw on the Jays game today, he's on pace for 63.
Yeah. So great. This is about as good a start as you can ask for him, right? And obviously, the Yankees are playing great. They're in first place. All those things are working in his favor. So I went and just sold that the other day for 100 US. I 4x my money.
Yeah.
Couldn't have been easier. But I had bought at the correct price at that time, and I just threw it in the box, didn't pay attention to it. I came back to it. All right, I guess now's a good time. Look, if I'm going to sell the stupid Aaron Judge card, I guess now's as good a time as any.
Yeah, for sure.
If he keeps having a great season, then that buyer will then be able to potentially flip it themselves if they wish, because if he keeps playing well, then the card could certainly go up from there. And I didn't take the absolute high water mark because literally the day before, somebody had sold it for 122 in an auction. I could have held out for more money, but the buyer was in Canada. So for me, it's like, oh, I can literally throw it in the mail, put a tracking number on it, and it ships there in a couple of days, and transaction's done. That's easier for me. Like, that's less of a pain in the ass. I don't have to worry about customs, filling in the forms, going to the post office and worrying about, okay, is it going to cross the border? Are we going to have any issues? So for me, I'll take 20 less bucks. I already made my money and then some. And then for me, it's like, it's less hassle. Much simpler transaction. So sometimes I'll take a little bit less money if it's less of a pain in the ass for me to finish the transaction.
Right.
So yeah, so we'll see. So right now, my preoccupation is I'm still doing my collecting thing. I was telling Dave before we started recording that I have recently begun the latest craze that will sweep the nation: Sharknado cards. Brace yourselves, y'all. Sharknado cards. It's coming. It's coming.
Are you going to show the audience the Sharknado card?
I can show the pack. I'm not going to open them up right now. These are actually already opened anyway. But there you go, Sharknado cards. And I got the.
They exist. How many cards in a pack, Carlos?
These are 10 collectible cards per pack. So this is 30 cards, I guess, for this, and then I've got the promos as well. Oh, actually, this is maybe a fun little showcase thing. So I put the card on Instagram this today. So I'll show you the card, but I'll also show you something kind of fun about it. So one of the newer companies, they're owned by a company that owns a lot of other third-party grading stuff, is CSG. And they do a lot of different things. I actually like their holders. I like the clarity of the slab in terms of being able to see the card through it. It's actually very nice the way they did it. And they updated their label to be more clear. I prefer the style of it. So this is a Medano card here in the new slab.
Okay.
Okay. So this is a patch upgrade as well. So the other copy I have of this card will also be going up on eBay. Hey, get my money back. Yay. So that's fine. Great. Okay. But this is a patch card. This is a thicker patch card. Okay. So this is the holder, but look at this. This thing is literally like a phone. It's basically as thick as a phone because of the way they have to do it to sandwich the two pieces together. I was joking on the live stream. I showed them, and then I showed how thick it was, and then I was like, "Hey, how's it going?"
Yeah,
hey!
Seriously, it really, when you put it up against your ear, it really looks like
it literally actual phone. It's the phone is thinner. The actual phone is physically thinner. Like this thing is actually more exaggerated.
It's crazy.
That's why I just got I got a chuckle out of it. It amused me to no end. I was just like, I like the card, I like the holder, I like the presentation. I don't need a lot of these holders, but I liked how this came out. And as a novelty for one or two, like that's fine. But I just thought it'd be funny.
For sure.
So anyway, good. Yeah. Otherwise, as far as that's concerned, it was good. Now I think, correct me if I'm wrong on this. You're coming up on. Are we summer vacation yet or no?
Not yet. No. June 29th is the last day of work.
Okay, so it's the last one. Are you doing the summer school this time or no?
I am, yes.
Okay. So, yeah, okay, fair enough. And then, with the cost of gas, are you still doing the cottage thing? Or are you guys pushing the car? Are you taking the car one way and then pushing it back the other way?
We'll go to the cottage, for sure. But,
But you'll be eating ramen noodles to save money?
Maybe. One of the things, this week is coming up with exams. They're like, if you don't have an exam or supervision, then you can work from home that day.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And I'm like, well, I'm still going to go into work because I will get more. I'm not going to get distracted by my kid being here or anything like that, right? Like it's better. I'll get more done. Then I'm like, price of gas. Like, no, I'll work from home those days.
Well, that was the reason I was saying. It was like, so it's like, is your ramen noodles, or are you pushing the car one way? You drive it one way, but then just push it back the other way.
Maybe. It would probably work for me. It'd probably be worth it. So
yeah, it's like, all right, kids, today we're gonna play a game. What? Push the car. Push the car back home, y'all. Teamwork. Good job. Good
Something
job.
like
Anyway, so yeah, fair enough. Okay, so let's get into it a little bit. We're gonna talk a little bit of wrestling stuff. We got a couple of different ones we can go with. Pick your favorite, and then we'll start there.
Well, I'd like to take your take so far on MJF and where MJF's been. So a quick recap, and then we'll get Carlos's take on this. So first of all, there was chatter, if you will, that MJF is unhappy with his contract.
Yep.
Right? That some of the WWE guys or ex-WWE guys that have been brought in are making more than him. He's in AEW original, et cetera, et cetera.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
All right. Then for Double or Nothing, the most recent pay-per-view, he was a no-show for the meet and greet.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And then at this point, people thought this was still legit. He just purposely didn't show. And then there was talk about, did he actually leave Vegas? Is he ever there? Et cetera, et cetera. He came. He did the match with Wardlow. Whatever.
Yep.
And then he cuts a huge, shoot, work, promo, whatever, on Dynamite the following Wednesday, where he calls Tony Khan, the owner of AEW, an F and Mark.
Mm-hmm.
And then,
which, by the way, respect to Tony Khan, he is. I agree with that assessment. Please continue.
I was like, yeah. Well, I think most people who can look at it objectively would say the same thing.
Yeah. And by the way, you can still work with that. Like that's not the end of the world. But you've got to understand that's a blind spot for you. That's actually that can be a blind spot for you that explains some of the other decision making from
I
time
was
to
gonna say, I
time.
think it has been a blind spot for Tony Khan.
Yeah.
I think part of the before we get back to MJF, I think part of the problem with AEW, and I don't know. I mean, I guess the blame always fully lies on the owner because he thought the buck stops with Tony Khan, but they're very they push back a lot against any sort of constructive criticism. I mean, criticism is criticism, but sometimes people, especially on like Busted Open, the radio program, are trying to give legitimate constructive criticism to, say, here's what you can do to make your product better, and there's always a lot of pushback against that.
Well, busted open. I'll bust it open in fairness. Look, I'll get. I want to finish this thought. I want to finish the thought you're having. Please bring me back to Busted Open Radio after we finish
For
this
sure.
thought. Please continue.
Sure. All right. So anyway, so after that promo happens,
Mm-hmm.
MJF is taken off the website.
Yep.
His merchandise is pulled off the site,
Mm-hmm.
and he has not been seen since. I mean,
Yep.
he has been seen. Apparently, he's been in an airport and was rude to a fan. I don't know if you heard about that. Somebody on like the Today Show or something was talking about it.
Okay. Sure.
Anyway, but other than that, we have not heard from MJF. He has not tweeted anything either, so he has not been active on social media as well. So the question is, is it a shoot? Is it work? What's happening? What's going to happen? So, Carlos, what say you?
Mm-hmm. Right. So the short answer is yes. So the thing is that here's the analogy I'll use. Okay, maybe this would be the most helpful way to visualize this. MJF is kind of over the course of his career as he's built his character. He's basically now the wrestling equivalent of Andy Kaufman. It's kind of the situation where it's like there's elements of truth, there's elements of fiction interwoven into it. There's an agenda, but also there's a little bit of figuring out as you're going along, kind of playing into it on the fly. As a character, MJF has no reason to not continue to be an asshole in public. He takes the kayfabe very seriously. Like he likes blurring that line constantly with a camera on or without.
And to be fair, I mean,
Yeah.
the reports too have come back that he is not like that backstage, right? Like he is whoever he is, he's Max backstage, But as soon as he's out of the dressing room, he is MJF.
Yeah, exactly. And he takes his commitment to that particular character extraordinarily seriously. It's very similar to what the Undertaker was in his heyday when he was an active roster member doing all the shows. He was the Undertaker pretty much everywhere, all the time. And it would only be occasionally here and there Mark Calloway would come into existence. Today he's more Mark Calloway than Undertaker because obviously he's removed from the whole thing now, comparatively. But at one point in time it was like Undertaker, Undertaker, Undertaker almost 24/7. So similar again. That's why I'm using the Andy Kaufman example, where like he's going to consistently blur the line. Where I think it stands is I think he is unhappy with his contract. I do believe he thinks he should be paid more because he has done a lot for the company as far as that's concerned. I'm a little bit of a two minds on this. And a lot of my thought process is similar to the Cody Rhodes thing. It's a weird dynamic. Is he extremely good at what he does? Yes. Does he benefit the roster being there? Yes. Did he basically help make the Wardlow thing work in terms of creating another start? 100%, absolutely. And a heel like that could do that kind of thing. So because he's an elite level heel, he also is a top tier talker, and he can basically create these stories. And the thing he did with CM Punk, that was great. So like, with the right combination, they can come up with stories and do all kinds of amazing things. Is he more valuable than Cody Rhodes? 1,000 times more valuable than Cody Rhodes. But we got a little bit.
Cody is the top babyface of WWE now, Carlos.
Which means nothing. But the issue that they run into is he does have a contract, and the contract had been adjusted once. And is he entitled to more? Yes. The question is the more that you think you're worth match up to where they're sitting today? The comparison that, well, you're paying more to the XWB guys, that's probably true. I believe that. The problem they run into is that the XWB guys also already have a track record. MJF is establishing his track record. Right now, he's off to a flying start. He's like elite level, and he's super young. So it's one of those things, like he's a franchise player for years. But the question is, do you, in order to try to lock him up, basically back up the Brinks truck? Is he buying into his own hype, though, to a certain point as well? Because Cody Rhodes still wanted to be like a primetime player, and he had kind of booked himself into a corner with the way that AEW was. But he also believed he was a bigger star and a bigger player than he actually was. He wanted to basically run management and be a character on screen and kind of do both at the same time. MJF wants to be right at the top of the food chain with it. Is there an argument to be made for him being there? Yes, there is an argument to be made. It's very difficult, though, because a lot of those other guys that they're doing it, they're paying them that because they have already earned the right to that level of a contract because of past track record. It's a situation of like, it's if you've actually done something, it's hard to go backwards. You're not going to get paid less than you were paid last time. That wouldn't make much sense. And if MJF gets a raise, he'd get a raise. But would it be as much as the WWE guys? It's hard to say. Like, do you pay MJF more than CM Punk? I don't know. CM Punk is currently the champion. Obviously, he had that injury, and then he'll be back. CM Punk has been a big good draw for AEW. AEW has kind of its plateau, but some of that limitation is based on Tony Khan being a mark for himself as well. So you got this weird situation. You got the owner who's a mark, really. You've got a wrestler who has legitimate points, legitimate grievances, and they were kind of buddy for a while there. And MJF has helped a lot because he's given recommendations from wrestlers for them to pursue. Like, he's done things outside of just the character work that he's done, which is great. So is he worth a lot? Yes. Would WWE love to have him? Yes. But if he went to WWE, would it work? No. It'd be a Hindenburg type disaster. It'd be hilarious, but it would actually. I'd almost send MJF to the WWE because he would be super frustrated, and they might collapse from the inside. He'd probably lose them half their sponsorship if he tried to do MJF, or if they neutered him, he'd basically be Miz Light. It would be terrible. You've already got Miz, and Miz ain't going nowhere.
Yeah.
So it's like this weird dynamic where it's like, are you worth more than you're getting? Yes. Are you worth more to anybody? Basically, WWE would pay you more only to get you away from AEW. AEW would pay you more to keep you, but at the same time, it's like I said, what are we trying to accomplish here? So I think keeping up appearances makes a lot of sense for his character because right now he remains under contract. Technically, Tony Khan could be like, yeah, you can sit at home on the bench until 2024. We're in the middle of 2022. That means he could spend basically 2 years sitting on his ass if he really wants to do it. It's like, yeah, I'll pay you to sit at home then. We'll see you in 2024. Or they could let some time pass, let everybody cool off a little bit, and then go back to the table. And if they come to an agreement, turn it into a storyline.
Yeah. I mean, it's quite possible. So we'll see.
Yeah.
I mean, so do you believe that he is sitting at home right now, or do you think the most recent things apart, like taking him off the website and everything?
Yeah.
You think that's part of a storyline, or you think that's
no?
More...
I think right now, I think there's a little bit of a cooling off period. I do legitimately think he thought he had more stroke being buddies with Tony Khan. I kind of go back. Let me put it this way. I'll give you an analogy from something we've already talked about. Do you remember the thing with Big Swole?
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Oh,
do I remember?
Yeah, but
Big Swole.
If you remember, though, if you really listened back when she did the little interview thing, one of the things that she said I think is really critical. I think this is an important callback. So let me refresh your memory on this piece. One of the things she said, and I think one of the reasons she reacted the way she did as well, is that she felt, because I guess Tony Khan had gotten high with her or something. I can't remember what the exact analogy was, because Tony Khan is kind of like the cool owner. He's the young owner, blah, 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 as opposed to like crusty old Vince McMahon. But because he's buddy-buddy with a lot of the roster at the time, especially, a lot of them felt like they had a better relationship and like a closer, like almost like a peer relationship. It's like, he's still the boss. He is not your friend. Well, maybe he's your friend, but he's still your boss. But he's also your friend. But it's awkward.
And at some point, business has to come into play too.
Now, consider what I just said and think if you feel like you were betrayed by your friend who also happens to be your boss. And think of how that complicates the relationship. And maybe the money was part of it, but now your feelings are hurt. And now you're irritated personally. So even just the money might not fix the problem. You get what I'm saying?
I do.
So I think that dynamic also plays into it. So I think him telling off Tony Khan was an opportunity for Tony Khan to be like, all right, say what's on your mind, go, and then go home, cool off. We'll talk again. Let's see if we can figure it out. So pulling him off the site and everything, there's a possibility he doesn't come back. There's also a possibility he does. There's a possibility he comes back and just rides out his contract and goes to WWE in 2024 anyway. Or there's a possibility they extend him. I don't know. all the possibilities are actually on. I genuinely believe right now, as we speak, every option is on the table. Every variation of option. A buyout is available on the table. A cut is available on the table. An extension is available on the table, or just write it out until the contract expires is also on the table.
Yeah, I can't. Sure. I don't see any reason why any of those aren't on the table at this point in time.
Yeah, and I think the actions match up with a pair of people that are trying to figure out what the next step is because you've got options.
Yeah, I would say that. So why do you think they let him come and cut the promo then?
Because even though he's mad, he's still a professional. I think that was like I think that was it was a trust move. It was basically like, I'm going to trust you with a live microphone. Go off on me, like say what you need to say, but like don't get us thrown off the air. I am trusting you to finish this, and then we'll figure out what the next step is. That's what I believe. I believe the conversation was like, look, you want to go and lay into me? Do it. I'll cut off your microphone at some point. I think that portion of it was discussed, but what you're going to say what you feel you need to say. But like, don't get us thrown off the air. And that's
they do have a 7-second delay on the program anyway.
They do, but
Thanks,
it's a trust.
Moxley.
But it is a trust move. Like it's you're not always going to get that. And by the way, this isn't just in entertainment. This is like in real working, the real working world. I'll give you a quick example. You remember my glory heyday of stories when I used to work at the call center.
I do.
Well, on my last day at the call center, I worked the whole shift. Normally, you pull somebody off. I was actually doing support. I was actually doing escalations that day. So I was on the call for part of the day, and I was doing escalations for part of the day. I'm on my last day, Dave. Do you have any idea how much damage I could do if I felt like it?
Yeah, for sure.
Like, I'm not coming back tomorrow. So it's like, but they felt comfortable enough. They're like, no, do your thing. Go ahead. And then, so I didn't, and I worked the rest of my last day as normal because, like, in that sense, I am a professional. I had already gotten another job. I was going to start it on Monday. I worked the Friday, and I went to go work the new job on Monday.
Yeah.
You won't always have that. So it is because a lot of times when you leave a job like that, they cut off your access, they turn off your phone, whatever it's going to be. It's like, no, you're not. Stay home for the last day. Take the day off. You're not coming in. So definitely. I think that's kind of a situation where, like I said, since they don't know what the next step is going to look like, I think they decided just to take a risk. It definitely generated buzz, and it has people talking. And then when and if MJF shows up somewhere, there'll be some buzz for that. We'll have to see when that is. That's the part I don't know.
Yeah, true. I mean, who knows, right?
Mm-hmm. So that's the MJF one. Let me do the Busted Open Radio one. You gotta remember.
Oh, yes, please.
Okay, so the Busted Open Radio one. Some of those guys are crusty, though. Like, I wouldn't... Their constructive criticism, a lot of times, is they're just, hating. As a professional hater, I know some hating when I hear it. It's like they I'll listen to them all the time because Busted Open Radio isn't it like a rotation of guys? Is it like Mark Henry and like
so Dave LaGreca is the host.
Yeah,
and he's there pretty much every day.
Yeah,
he's not there on Saturdays, but I think he's there Monday to Friday.
Yeah.
And then they rotate through Tommy Dreamer, Bully Ray, and Mark Henry.
Yeah, hater.
Mark Henry works for the company.
He can still have his moments. Like, it's hilarious. It's funny. Like, I have no issue with it. It's professional wrestling. We've got room for haters. But just understand that it's like, look, I'll take everything they say with a grain of salt. Even when they're being sincere, I'll take it with a grain of salt. It's like I don't trust everything you say, brother. It doesn't work for me all the time, brother. Just settle down. Calm down. Take it with a grain of salt. The whole thing. So, yes, they can have some criticisms of it. But look, it's like, Eric Bischoff tries to play off that he's constructive. Eric Bischoff, by the way, he's also worked for AEW. He did segments for them. And he literally spends half his time now making fun of Tony Khan. Oh, this is stupid. It's like CM Punk thinks it's the biggest waste of money in the company. It's like, and I'm like, you're the guy who wrote the book that says controversy creates cash. Shocking that you would have hot takes.
True.
That's what I mean. Like, it's professional wrestling. Just take everything everybody says with a grain of salt. And I'm going to need to see some ID.
That's probably the best thing you can ever say about professional wrestling, right? Take everything with a grain of salt. Everything
that everybody says, just assume there's a real possibility of embellishment and downright fabrication. Because as you well know, at WrestleMania 3, Hulk Hogan power slammed Andre the Giant, who at that point was 557 million pounds, in front of 18 billion people.
Correct. Tomorrow it will be 19 billion, but right now it's 18 billion.
Yes. So like I said, take everything here with a grain of salt in wrestling, brother.
No, exactly.
Yeah. All right. Next topic. What else you got?
So, is any hate you want to dump on WWE at this point in time?
No, I think the general suck continues. It's just what's funny is the product itself. It is what it is. I thought it was funny
Did
that.
you? Sorry, I'm
Go ahead.
sorry to interrupt, but I have to. Did you catch any of last night, or see what happened at the end of last night's program?
What, SmackDown?
Yeah.
No, I don't
Brock
watch SmackDown.
Lesnar came out and did a stare down with Roman Reigns.
No, I heard about that. Yeah, yeah, but I don't watch it. But I
Yeah.
did hear
But it's
about
like,
Brock Lesnar.
and they're gonna face each other at SummerSlam.
Mhm.
Serious? And I'm like,
Yep.
really?
hmm
Why is anyone excited about this?
No one's excited about it.
Oh,
But
somebody's. Oh no, oh no. There are people who are excited about it.
yeah, the 47th time. The John Cena and Rock thing was hailed as once in a lifetime, and then they did it 3 times.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
Yeah, but Brock Lesnar and Roman Reigns is 47 times in a lifetime. No, 47 times this year. Just over and over again, forever.
It's ridiculous. It really is.
Yeah. I actually would prefer if WWE would just literally lean into it. I would just intentionally make it a best of 7 series. I think SummerSlam should be the first of a best of 7 series. They'll do one every pay-per-view and just run them back for 7 straight pay-per-views and see if y'all will watch it. Just do it on purpose. Just go for it.
I would you be surprised though?
I think that's a great idea. I think it's fantastic. I
At
think they
least
should just do
you know what
rematches.
that would be. At least that would be honest. Like
It-
we got nothing, so we're just gonna keep bringing back old timers and to face Roman Reigns.
Yep.
Because
Just
maybe our plan was to have Cody beat him eventually. Maybe it still is. Right? Maybe Cody's gonna be back for the Royal Rumble, win the Royal Rumble, and then face Roman at WrestleMania. Who knows?
Yep. But the Cody Rhodes injury was beautiful because it basically. Now here's my favorite part about it. He got a lot of praise for toughing it out and doing all that with Seth Rollins, and I'm sitting there like, but Seth Rollins lost again because I think this is the third. I think that was their third match.
I believe so.
Yeah, and Seth has lost all 3.
Yes.
And he lost against a guy with a torn pectoral muscle at a Hell in the Cell, and it's like, so then why should I take Seth?
Where it was obvious before the match started that he
Yeah.
did. It's not like he tore it during the match like that.
Yeah.
Was it WrestleMania where it was Undertaker, Shawn Michaels, and Triple H tore his pec?
Yeah, something like that. Yeah. So, but the thing is that then after that match, Cody Rhodes is gone for months anyway, and he's gonna have surgery. And he had surgery. So it's like, so basically, you had the guy who can actually wrestle lose. He's a loser. He lost 3 straight times, and then you're gonna have him prancing around on TV. And the guy who won the match is gonna be on the shelf for a while, and Brock Lesnar, you have to bring him back because you don't have anybody for him. Because Randy Orton, I think, was supposed to be the other guy who... I think Randy Orton was one of the original ideas for SummerSlam. So it could have been Randy Orton and Roman Reigns to tide you over to the next thing. But yeah, he's got I think it was a back injury, and he might need surgery for that.
Yes,
and if he
that is
gets
correct.
if he gets the surgery, then that puts him out for the rest of the year. So
Yep.
that's out. It's not like he's like a 14, 15-time champion that you like gone. Cody Rhodes, the guy you spent all this billing on, gone. By the way, how's his run been so far? Really
Depends who
stellar,
you
right?
ask, Right?
Yeah. Yeah.
I think it's gone better than you originally predicted it would.
I agree. But I actually think that here's the thing. It's gone better than I predicted, but it's just as shitty as I had hoped. It's just as literally his run has been meaningless. It's actually been great because it's like, oh man, but it's gone better. Yeah. I was predicting they would literally just job him out. Fair enough. You didn't do that. You made him irrelevant already. He is literally already irrelevant. But he's gonna face Roman Reigns. I know, but he sucks. The good news is that by the time he faces Roman will lose to a guy who sucks because he doesn't matter. He's just Cody Rhodes. Who cares?
Dude, he's the American Nightmare. Come on.
Congratulations. He's been the American Nightmare for years on the Indies. No one gave a shit. No one cares. Watch that rating spike. Wait, it didn't happen? No rating spike? Huh.
Well, I mean, but the thing is here is the only thing personally, this is my personal opinion here. Nothing is going to move the needle for WWE.
Not now. No, not at this point in time. The way that the business is and the way that the product is, you could bring back God with a rematch with Vince McMahon, and it would not work.
Correct. But AEW could move the needle to some degree.
Yeah.
If Tony Khan got out of his own way.
Oh yeah. Like there's a lot of little, like I said, there's little things that are left on the table. So I'll quickly finish the WWE thought, and then let's shift over to AEW.
Sure.
Okay, so bottom line, right now they're in dire straits because Roman Reigns is there, but he's holding two titles, and like nobody is on the level that anybody really conceives of. The reason they brought back Brock Lesnar because nobody else feels ready to really. They can have good matches with people, but they're all losers. It doesn't matter. Like they're all generic. They're all kind of. They may as well all be mid card. Everybody's mid card except for Brock Lesnar and Roman Reigns. And like Cody Rhodes, if they decide that week he's supposed to be a main eventer, because like I said, he's winning these matches, but the feud was meaningless. He faced Seth Rollins 3 times. Who's Seth Rollins at this point? Some dork who dresses like an idiot. That's his gimmick. I dress like a moron. You know what my wife's gimmick is? She dresses like a moron.
It's the same thing.
They literally have the same gimmick.
It was funny because I'm not a fan of Vince Russo.
Mm-hmm.
Right? But on his podcast recently, he mentioned that he says, "What the hell is Becky Lynch's gimmick? She's just a cosplayer." And I was like, he's kind of right.
Yeah, but that's the joke is that the irony is that Becky Lynch is the one who tried to take a shot at AEW by saying, well, you know, it's about the stories, not just the moves. It's like, at this point, you don't do the moves and you don't have story. You're literally like, what is your story? Your story is that you're nuts? So you're like, what's the stupidest look I can have today? What's the dumbest ass thing I can wear today and get away with? All right. Can I wear the, I wonder if they can go get the Daft Punk helmets. Maybe they can get some of the Daft Punk light up helmets and she could wear that to ring.
You know what? It's probably going to happen on Monday.
I probably just spoiled her SummerSlam entrance. Sorry.
Yeah.
My apologies.
But here's the other thing, Carlos, because sometimes it feels like you and I are the only people who can see that. Because, you know, people who are WWE fans think everything that they'll complain about stuff, but somehow think everything. They'll complain yet also say how WWE is the greatest thing ever. And you know, AEW fans, you know, will shit on everything WWE does while talking about how amazing things AEW is. And when they get it right, it is amazing in AEW. But they often don't get it right, and there's some very questionable shit that goes on there, right? Mm-hmm. But It feels like you and I seem to be the only two people who can actually say that, you know, there's very legitimate criticisms about both.
Right. Well, I think a lot of that is because there is the tribalism. It is very much, I'll put it to you this way, and this is the only time I'm going to touch on this concept because for the most part I stay out of it because I think it's dumb. It is the same mentality that people bring to politics. And I've said this once, I've said it a billion times. There are plenty of people in this world who would rather their country sink into a sinkhole rather than have the opposing political party they don't like, whichever one that is for you, rather than have them successfully implement something that works. Mm-hmm. They would rather lose than be not on the winning team. They would rather if their party that they like is in power, they would rather we sink into the sinkhole by decisions they've made than succeed with the other one. Mm-hmm. So like, it's not even about success. It's not even about wanting the things to get better. It's about, I want it to be under my terms or not at all. So it's like, which is a zero-sum game. It's like, no, I actually just, I want to win. I don't care who came up with the idea. I want to win. That's my desire. Like, I want to win. So for me, I'm not interested in joining any of y'all's teams. I'm just interested in the product reflecting what I would like to see.
Well, it's like the line from Game of Thrones. I don't know if you've watched Game of Thrones or not, but they're talking about Peter Baelish, where it's like basically the I can't remember the exact line, but basically it was like he'd burn it all down just to be king of the ashes.
And that I think is that's a good analogy by you. Look at you, you with the correct analogy. You got one.
Thank you. Every once in a while, maybe it's a mustache. I don't know.
Maybe that's it. But that is a correct metaphor. That they would literally rather be king of the ashes than actually be like, than just accept it and somebody else runs the thing and it works. Like, and I was like, well, that's a short-sighted mentality. Like, right now, to be fair, I think the way I would phrase it is that AEW will have moments where they can put together A plus content and then in the same show put together D content.
Yes.
WWE is in a position where if everything works well, they put together B minus content. Like if everything works for them, because right now their ceiling is low. The good news for them, the problem is that their basement is like F minus 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 to infinity minuses.
Yeah.
Like it can get really bad, and just sink further. So like their ceiling is lower and their floor is way lower. But nobody is producing A plus consistently. Nobody. And there are missed opportunities everywhere on the board. Everywhere I look, there are missed opportunities. So it's one of those things where it's frustrating because as a viewer, you want to see, if your goal is to have better entertainment, you would like to see, like, no, look at the opportunities directly in front of you. Look, they're right there. Just do the thing. And right now, like I said, WWE, I think WBE would be almost like a 2-year project to fix it because it's so, like, it's been left to decay so badly that you'd have to almost start from scratch. Not exactly, but you almost would have to start from scratch just to fix all the problems foundationally. It's the house that they keep building on top of it, but the foundation's rotten. Like it's completely rotted out. You have to completely rip it out and start again. But they don't want to do it.
Yeah.
And AEW right now, the foundation's decent. It's solid. But some of the new construction's a bit rickety. The good news is that it's easier to fix the rickety construction above ground. Fixing the foundation is actually a lot harder.
Yeah.
So it's an easier fix, but you still have to commit to doing the fix. Otherwise, you've still got the problem. Either way. But speaking of the AEW side, it's interesting because right now, so my biggest beef right now with I've got a couple, but my biggest beef, the All Atlantic Championship. ¿Por qué? I was like, literally, you've got a secondary title. What the hell is Scorpio Sky holding? Doesn't he have a belt?
Or the fact that, sorry, on that now Britt Baker and Adam Cole will walk around with the Owen Hart belt.
Well, last week they didn't know. Like they've stopped that now.
Like
it lasted a week.
But I mean,
still,
it's like, okay.
But look, here's the problem. I agree with the assessment that there are too many belts. But they're doing it to themselves. Now, last week, apparently, I guess somehow that got to Tony Khan and he decided to take the memo because right now, technically, FTR have 2 tag team championships. And you've got the AEW tag team champions. So there are 3 tag team belts on TV, technically. You've got the ROH because Wheeler Yuta is the ROH pure champion. You've got the TNT championship. You got the TBS championship for the women. So right now the women have 2 championships, which is fine. That's good. But then with the men, you have the heavyweight championship. You've got the TBS champion. Sorry, the TNT championship. The acronyms with the networks annoy me. But the TNT championship and the All Atlantic championship, which I actually don't understand the purpose of. I was like, trios, the trios championship. Like we all want the trios one. And they're like, there's gonna be a new belt. Trios, All Atlantic champ. Why? Who needed this?
And then it's I don't
It's
know.
a nice.
Is
It's a nice
it me?
belt,
Is
by
it
the way.
me, or looking at the bracket they've put out? Is it obvious that it's going to Miro? I don't know.
It better be Miro, to be blunt. Like it better be, because like, man. But here's the thing. Like it's almost like okay, so we'll give Miro another belt. Here's the thing. He did a great job with the TNT Championship. I'm sure he'll do a great job with this, but I don't. This is the way I'm going to present it to you. Let's think about this as bookers. Dave, I have promoted you. You are now a booker with me. You are now in the booking room with Carlos.
Woohoo!
Yes. Dave, let's think about this for a second. You're booking these wrestlers. We've got a lot of talent on this roster. We've got a lot of things for people to do. And by the way, if you're going to do a new belt, I would have done the Haas Fight Championship. I want the Haas Fight division. Let's just get a Haas Fight division.
Here you go, Wardlow.
That's what I would. That's what the people want. And by that I mean me. Okay. So
They got a lot of Haas's.
We can have a Haas Fight division. Like I'm not even joking. We can have it. And by the way, that would be a prestigious championship. Miro can compete for that one too.
WCW had the cruiserweight, right? Why can't we have the Haas Fight division?
Amazing. It would be incredible. Okay, anyway, so fine. So you've got all these people on this roster. The roster is huge. So we're going to do this secondary championship for God knows what reason. Okay, so now let's think kayfabe-wise.
Also, hold on. sorry, we're also going to have an All Atlantic Championship where one of the entrants is from Japan, which is on the Pacific Ocean.
I'm going to ignore that for the moment.
Okay.
Let's just stick to the main issue at hand. We've got all these wrestlers. I've got a TNT championship and I've got an All Atlantic championship. These are both secondary titles.
Correct.
If I'm a wrestler, so which one am I competing for? Which one is the quote unquote better title? Which one, like, do the rankings apply for both? Are there separate rankings for each one of the? Do you understand the confusion? Like, fundamentally, you have created this weird logjam that doesn't make a lot of sense. If, now, let me throw you a wrinkle where there is a scenario where you could have done this. Back when WWE started the brand split, you had like the European Championship or the US Championship and the Intercontinental Championship. If you've got two brands and it's like, for example, if the All Atlantic Championship is the Rampage defended championship, you defend it only on Rampage, ever. That's it. And the TNT Championship is defended only on Dynamite. Okay, fine.
Yeah.
I'm still not happy. Like, this is still kind of unnecessary, but I can accept that.
But it makes sense.
Yeah, never the two shall meet. Keep them separated. You want to fight for the All Atlantic, then your ass is going over to Rampage, and that's where you're going to have to fight for it. And you want the other one, you're going to have to stay over here on Dynamite. And if you want to compete for one or the other, well, then you got to go back and forth. There's no separate brands, but the two titles stay on separate shows at all times. And then maybe you rotate which one gets defended on pay-per-views. This time around it's the TNT. This time around it's the All Atlantic, and then you back and forth. Okay, fine. And then you can do builds to the championship match at the pay-per-views, and you've got a little time in between if you wanted to play it that way. But otherwise, I don't see what use is it other than literally to give somebody else another championship just for the hell of it. Dude, to create a triple crown. Okay, Miro, you've won 2/3 of the triple crown. Now you got to win the AEW championship. You got all three.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I thought it was kind of dumb.
I still think. By the way,
and there's no storyline with it either, right? Like,
there's literally, I still literally do not understand why it exists. I don't actually understand why this title exists. And there's no explanation for it. It just kind of appeared.
Maybe they could have done something with an explanation to make it make sense, and maybe people will be like, "Oh, okay, that's kind of cool." But no, it's just like, here's another belt. The belt looks cool. Don't get me wrong.
But that's what I was going to say. Compliments to the belt designer. The belt designers they hire are doing some quality work. I like the way this belt looks. I like the way that the enhanced women's championship looks. I think that looks a great looking title. I think the AEW championship is a great looking title. Really, the TBS and the TNT
were great.
They were great, yes. And I think really, literally, the TNT and the TBS are the only stragglers. It's like, these belt designs kind of suck. Those are the two that kind of suck. I wonder maybe. Here's a thought. Let me throw something out here. I don't think this is. Well, maybe it is what they're thinking. What if the idea here is that their intention is to stay with Warner, but they also don't know and they want to hedge their bets? What if not too far in the future you have a unification championship where it becomes the All Atlantic takes over for the TNT?
It's possible.
Yeah, maybe you just merge them, and then make it it's now the All Atlantic, and that's a secondary belt going forward.
Yeah, I mean, I think I could definitely see that.
I could live with it at least, retire the belt.
It'd be better than what's currently going on.
Yeah, I think maybe
then it would still not. It would not negate the fact that, like, why does this exist in the first place? But
yeah, I don't know. So, like, for me, like, I can't have two secondary titles floating around. My opinion hasn't changed. The trios championship was the play. You've got so many trios teams. Like, you've got a ton of really good ones. And by the way, the matches would be great. You've got really quality trios teams. So, and you've got a division. Like, literally, you can snap your fingers. You got a division right now. No problem.
Okay. Thought here. All right.
Go.
Okay. And I mean, I'm just thinking this, so it's possible this is completely untrue. Is it possible that they were going to do the trios championships, okay, but because CM Punk got hurt and then there's no longer the FTR plus CM Punk trio, that they decided, okay, we'll just do this thing instead?
Right. Well, originally, my understanding was that the original hang-up was Kenny Omega. The original hang-up was they wanted to see if Kenny would be back because they'd love to do like a Kenny Omega Young Bucks, and then maybe be able to feud that with the the Elite. The Undisputed Elite. So you could have done like that combo and then have like Kenny Omega come back and then the Young Bucks line with him. And then you've got Adam Cole and you've got Red Dragon.
Mm-hmm.
There you go. You've got trios and then there you go. Boom. And then obviously you've got other trios teams as well that as soon as they settle that, boom, slot in another trios team. By the way, here's, Death Triangle. Boom. Here's House of Black. Boom. With Goth Julia Hart.
Yeah.
So it's like we're covered. Like because we've actually got you. I can stack up a series of good trios matches and feuds one after another.
Sure.
Like
Also,
we got plenty.
I'm so thankful we got the Julia Hart turn.
Finally, come out that damn time, Jesus. So it's good. She's not a pirate. She's very gothy. But look, I'll take it. At least you progressed. We got some progression. I'll take it.
Still more character development than Miz.
100%. So fine. But as I say, like for me, that was the weird part. I just couldn't get past that. Second thing is the women's division is still being booked like shit. But by the way, my favorite thing. I feel like at this point they're almost trolling Thunder Rosa, and I'm kind of digging it from a troll. At my heart, Dave,
Like I was
I'm
gonna
a
say,
troll.
it tugs on your heartstrings a little bit, doesn't it?
It's literally what I live for. I'm like, this is like the assholery that I would do. It's like, all right, so you will have your. I was like, all right, Thunder Rosa, you've been complaining you haven't been defending the title much. All right, we've got you on TV for a title defense. Okay, against Marina Shafir.
Yeah.
Anything else we can do for you? I don't understand. How did Marina Shafir get there? Bless her heart, but why Marina Shafir? Like, why? Out of all the
Like
people.
the Tony Storm, but then it's like, and now she's gonna fight Tony Storm for the title at Forbidden Door, where it's like with basically zero build up.
Now, here's the thing. I can save that. Remember I said I have a solution to one of the problems? This is the one I'm going to solve. All right. I like the Tony Storm and Thunder Rosa matchup. I dislike the no build. I think Tony
100%
Storm
agreement.
I think Tony Storm should be the next champion, but not at Forbidden Door. I think they botched this thing from day one. I think the play right now, if you want to save it, you want to salvage this, the play is Thunder Rosa wins through nefarious means, turns heel, and we drag it out to the next pay-per-view where Tony Storm gets a second crack at it, and this time she wins. You may as well just roll with it, because right now, it ain't working. The way we did, because the Thunder Rosa, I think this Thunder Rosa title reign is now officially botched. They screwed up the thing that I said. I gave the blueprint. I said...
And it's not Thunder Rosa's fault.
No. But they completely botched this, because the Nyla Rose thing was fine. As the first feud, fine. But I think, I don't remember the exact way I phrased it, and you can correct me if I'm wrong on this. I think my pitch originally was, you do Nyla Rose, and then you, maybe you have one rematch, because the idea is then to get to Serena Deeb,
Yes.
or you do the Statlander one. Either way, I wanted a couple of opponents, but stretch it out a little. At this point, she should still be like on her second or third feud for that title with somebody. She shouldn't literally have had like a couple of defenses and then just sat around and then come do interviews. Yeah, a weird promo where she looks like Carmen Sandiego, like with her hat, and like none of it makes any sense, and like none of it means anything, and like she's literally prancing around with the title.
You know what, Carlos? Let's get another promo of Britt Baker and Tony Storm because of reasons. like it's like they're not even feuding anymore, but it's like let's just have a promo with them in it. Like,
maybe,
you know what I mean?
maybe they should have a promo where they're staring at each other and just talk shit about Thunder Rosa. That would be fun.
Better than what you're getting, because it's like how many backstage segments where Tony Schiavone's interviewing one of them, and the other one walks in? Did we get like 5,
It was 3 or
6?
4. It was. I think it was 3 or 4. But like it was consecutive weeks. It was like consecutive.
4. It was at least 4.
It was so hilarious. I was sitting there like, maybe we should do a pool, and the pool would be, what are we going to get more of for the rest of the year? Brock Lesnar Roman Reigns matches, or Tony Storm Britt Baker promo segments.
That'd be a good bet.
It's a race right now. It is a race, and it is neck and neck, my man. It is neck and neck right now as we speak.
Oh, ridiculousness.
But okay. So my first fixed proposal is Thunder Rosa turns heel. She holds onto the title through this pay-per-view. You build it to the next pay-per-view. Legitimately build it. Now it's a feud. Now they have to fight each other backstage, attack each other. One of them hires Chris Jericho because he's a wizard to throw a fireball at the other one. I don't care. Just
Also,
something.
fucking Chris Jericho wizard shit.
Okay, keep that thought. Keep that thought. Let me finish fixing this.
All right.
Okay, so whatever they have to do to actually build a legitimate feud leading into that next pay-per-view, where then Tony Storm will win. But at some point during this thing, Thunder Rosa can have a talking segment, but the talking segment is going to be the reason she turned heel. And the reason she turned heel is because she's pissed off that as soon as she won the title, all of a sudden, no promotion. Use Britt Baker as the catalyst indirectly with Thunder Rosa. Be like, Britt Baker was a champion. You promoted her. You put her on posters. You did this. You did that. You promoted the hell out of it. I've got this title. I'm doing all these things in the community, which she is.
True.
Use the truth. I'm doing all this thing. You basically ignore me. You tell me I can go talk to Tony Schiavone. You tell me I can do this. It's like, but that's it. And then I've got my match. And then you give me Marina Shafir. Just be really angry about it. Just be pissed off.
Dude,
that it's like,
you're right though. Right? Get one of those like work shoot promos, right?
But this would work because it's true.
Yes.
So just say it. And then be like, and then the second that Tony Storm shows up, all of a sudden, Tony Storm here, Tony Storm there. Hey, Tony Storm and Thunder Rosa. Well, I'm not giving up this title. Blah, blah, blah. Great. Fantastic. Makes sense. Like it.
100%, man.
And that's enough. Now we actually have a reason why Thunder Rosa is angry about this. We have a reason why she did underhand attack. She's like, I'm not giving up this title. You're not taking it from me. Blah, blah, blah. Tony Storm is
10
like,
times better than anything we've gotten so far.
yeah. And then Tony Storm is like, oh, I see. Well, I'm taking it from you anyway. Blah, blah, blah. Now they can feud. Great. Yeah. Fantastic. You've both got a reason now to be here. Awesome. Sounds great. Let's continue. So fixed it. But another thing I would also do with this, and also I would incorporate this in another. Okay, instead of these stupid backstage segments, can we do more pre-made packages? I want to see some more. I want them to harness. Look, part of Tony Khan being a mark and not wanting to do things that he should do. WWE is running a very poorly run ship at this point. But that doesn't mean we can't steal ideas that are good. When they do something well, steal it at this point. Just steal it. You know what WWE is really good at? You know what they're great at? Video packages. Video packages with music that build up, give you all the background, show clips of this, that, and the other thing, and explain. Somebody watches this, and they understand within minutes. Oh, so that's why they're feuding. Oh, so that's it. And then this music in the background is really good, and it's like you create this atmosphere thing. Mm-hmm. One of the greatest video promo packages of all time, and I encourage anybody who's a wrestling fan to go back and watch it. Go back and watch WrestleMania 17. I want to say it's 17. It was the Rock and Stone Cold in the main event, and they did a video package before they went out there to go do it. And the video package was done to My Way by Limp Bizkit. But it is one of the best video packages of all time. And they played it a couple times leading into the match. And just watching the video package, you're convinced this is a big deal. You're convinced that these guys are going to try to go after each other. You're convinced that this is a main event because you sold the hell out of it. Another one that I recommend to you guys that is almost as good. When The Miz won the world title the first time, when he technically didn't deserve it, he wasn't nearly on the level that he should have been to actually hold that title. He had a match coming up against John Cena. They actually did a video package for him, sitting there watching a bunch of other world champions, and then doing this thing where you intercut the Miz explaining that he had to earn it. This is his, blah blah blah, and then they played this like rap song. It's like, "Do you hate me now?" And they intercut clips of him. The Miz never looked like more of a star than he did in that video package for a brief shining moment before he went to that thing at WrestleMania. But then, obviously The Rock interfered and, he became a secondary player even though he still had the title. WWE always misses the landing. But literally, that video package was like the closest The Miz ever became to being a star because they sold the hell out of it in that video package.
Yep.
Steal that idea. Do that. Because you can get more story across in a really well executed video package. That way they don't have to stare at each other with Tony Schiavone in the middle of them looking like a goof. Do one or two of those leading into a pay-per-view for your bigger feuds. It'll sell it. Just do that.
Yes, for sure.
Yeah, and then put it on your YouTube page and let people watch the hell out of it, and they'll get hyped. And then, but steal that idea. WWE's been good for that for years. Steal that idea and start using it. I
Yeah.
want to understand what happened to Miro. Give me a video package. Show me him fighting God in the Shadow Realm. I don't care what you got to do. Show me something. Just do it. You've got the resources. Just get a good video editor. Get a guy who knows how to pick good music. Put it together and make it happen.
Yeah.
That'll fix so much for you. It'll fix so many of your storyline problems because you can clean up a lot of the mess just by putting together a couple of good packages that make sense and explain to you why we got the way where we got. That'll take care of a lot of it for you. Okay, so Chris Jericho Wizard, tell me more.
It's just so I don't know. I part of me thinks Chris Jericho should just do commentary on Rampage, and that should be the end of Chris Jericho.
But he's
Legendary career, however,
but he's
I think it might be time.
But he's a wizard.
Yeah, but that's the thing. It's just the fact that he has to go, I'm going to do this because I'm a wizard. And it's just like, it's the lamest thing ever I think he's ever come out of his mouth. And there's a lot of lame things that have come out of that man's mouth.
Is it better or worse than the list?
I think it's worse than the list, personally.
And the list got over, man.
Do you mean the list itself or you just made the list?
Dude, that got over. He would get cheers for clicking the pen.
I know. I feel the list was better. Like the wizard thing is just like there's part of me that's like, this could be cool maybe somehow. I'm just not sure how. But it is not cool right now. It is just lame. Although I did appreciate the Sammy Guevara dressed as Fuego del Sol. I did appreciate that.
Look, I'm glad he's back with Jericho because they make more sense.
Totally.
As a unit, they make way more sense. And then Tay Conti can be there as part of that. It's fine. Yeah.
Well,
okay,
it was
great.
fun. Do you know who Alfred Kanua is?
Did you say Alfred Canoe?
Alfred, I think it's pronounced Kanua. Konuwa.
Yeah, you can spell it. You can spell it any way you want.
So he writes. He writes for Forbes.
Okay.
And he covers wrestling for Forbes. And I was reading his Twitter this past week where he's like they finally settled on putting Sammy Guevara in the Sammy Guevara role.
That's about right. Yes, I agree with that.
And I was like, yes, that is what happened. So
I confirm. I concur with this assessment. It's
Anyway.
one of those things. It's just bizarre. It was like, okay, guys, whatever you say. Yeah, it's one of those things. I do agree, I do appreciate though that they did course correct, and that was good. That's why I say, like, I think the theme of tonight is going to be that Tony Khan needs to get over himself. He needs to start understanding that there's a time and a place to do. By the way, some of the things he does are fine. Some of the ideas he has are good. But not all of your ideas are home runs. Some of them is like, no, let's put this one back in the oven a little bit longer. Let's think about this one a little bit more. Because it's these little tiny details that are consistently sloppy in certain things. Like coming up with an All-Atlantic Championship with no explanation. Coming up with this Owen Hart tournament, which was great, except what were the stakes? When these people won, what did they win? Other than a trophy and these nice-looking belts that are not to be defended, they just exist. So what did you actually win?
until the next time.
Yes, but I was like, so what did you actually win? I'm cool with you winning it, but like, you maybe you could have attached a title shot, something. Give the people a reason other than obviously the hardware. I would have almost been inclined to be like, hey, how about a title shot?
Yeah.
That could have been. There's a couple of ways you could have done it. That could have been your Money in the Bank cash-in. Maybe you win the Owen Hart Cup, and all of a sudden you can challenge within a certain designated period of time the champion.
Yeah.
And you had to win a tournament to do it, so it's not like you didn't earn it. You busted your ass. You won these matches. Here's your reward. You get cup. You get the belt.
Since they're probably going to be giving Adam Cole a title shot anyway.
Yeah, but I'm saying, like, this is a perfectly logical storyline vehicle. And if a heel wins, what if they pick an opportune moment to cash it in, so to speak? It's the classic move. Why not? Just make it so that, because of Britt Baker in this situation. So Britt Baker winning on the women's side. Wouldn't Britt Baker want to like fortuitously pick the moment when the champion is the most vulnerable to be like,
Of course.
boom, I'll take that. Thank you. Great. Makes total sense. It would be a heelish thing to do. Makes total sense. That's why I say, like, anything. Just give me a reason. I'm fine with the actual tournament. I'm fine with the Owen Hart tributes. Great. Martha Hart on there giving her speech. A little cringy for me, but fine. Like, the crowd liked it. Good. It raised money for charity. Great. That's all wonderful. Like, I have no issue with one thing of this. My only thing is, when it's done, wrestler-wise, there is a reason you should want to win this, in addition to the prestige and blah, blah, blah. But give them a reason. Why, after you win, hey, I'm also rewarding you as a wrestler for winning this. Hey, here's something you can use. You want to win a championship? Here's an opportunity. The pot of gold at the end of the rainbow. Give them a reason to go after it. Mm-hmm. And then it's even more important to them because even if they're doing it for selfish reasons, there's still a reason at the end of it for them to want to win. That means everybody wants to win because it's a shortcut to the front of the line.
Yeah.
Wonderful. Sure. That makes sense to me. I don't know. Like, it's just bizarre because then it suddenly becomes extremely important to qualify for this tournament because, hey, here's an opportunity to run to the front of the line right now. You don't have to wait. You don't have to go up the rankings. You can go straight to the front of the line.
Yeah.
Just fixing all the things, Dave. I just fixed everything. Man. Terrible.
That's why they should hire you, man.
Yeah, well, it is what it is. So that's good. Covered that.
If anybody's a real wizard, it's you, Carlos.
Well, it's just facts.
You don't need fireballs to be a wizard.
Can we make fun of the Vince McMahon thing for a minute?
Sure.
Let's finish up on that one.
All right, we'll finish up with Vince McMahon.
Or did you have another thing you wanted to mention in between?
No, I'm good.
Okay, so let's finish up with the Vince McMahon one. Good old Vince.
Can I take my take on this?
Go.
I honestly feel that at the end of the day, this is gonna be a whole hullabaloo about nothing. Not that the issue is nothing or whatnot, but I don't think it's going to change anything based on the amount of shares he owns, the voting power he has, the other people on the board that are Vince McMahon allies. If anything, I think at the end of the day, everything goes back to status quo, and somehow, except for I think John Laurinaitis falls on his sword. That's what I think is going to happen.
So I agree with you, but I would love if this was, and this is an analogy I use with a couple of folks I was talking about it this week. I would love if this was Vince McMahon's Al Capone moment. Do you know what I'm referring to?
That he got busted for tax evasion?
Out of all the things. Al Capone ordered hits. There were murders. There were crimes as far as the eye can see.
Correct.
And what did he go to jail for? Tax evasion. I would be like, what happened? Vince got past the Stoyer trial. He did this. He did that. He basically screwed over Owen Hart that resulted in his death. He may have helped cover up Jimmy Snuka's murder. All these things.
Wait, is that actually true, or did you just throw that in there?
No, the Jimmy Snuka. Go back. There's like a Dark Side of the Ring with Jimmy Snuka.
I know. I didn't realize that Vince McMahon was.
The long-standing theory is that Vince McMahon knew a lot about it and was very helpful in making sure it went away. Like I said, all the things that Vince McMahon, and I say the evidence has never caught up with Vince, but I believe I'm a big fan of. You ever seen the Chris Rock No Sex in the Champion Room?
Mm-hmm.
You know the line where he says the ODB could not possibly have committed all those crimes? Coolio did some of that shit?
Yeah.
My answer is Vince McMahon did all of it. I believe he is guilty of. I believe if we actually had the nail evidence, we'd have him in jail for 5,000 years. If we actually got him for everything he's done. I think he's done a lot of stuff that he could go to jail for. It would be wonderful for me if he literally lost his company on this of all things. Hush money for an affair. Like all this shit. Hush money for an affair. And that's what gets him toppled. That'd be amazing. It'd be the greatest thing of all time.
But I don't think it's going to.
No, I doubt it. I would put the chances at less than 5%. But it's just fun. It's still fun. It's still a fun thing to think about. Because it'd be amazing. It'd be true greatness. So yeah. So anyway, the bottom line with it is, I think the biggest problem I have with a lot of the setup and everything is that, the board is quote unquote doing an investigation, blah blah blah, yada yada, and then the person that they install is like, Well, at this point, if I'm the board, I'm like, yeah, we're not letting you install another McMahon as the interim CEO. We're going to need someone else who isn't related to you to be the interim CEO and chairperson. Could we pick somebody who doesn't have the last name McMahon?
Yeah.
Anyone?
Triple H.
No. 9. It's just funny because it's literally. I've said it before, and I want to bring it back for today's episode. Vince McMahon remains the Carney goat. He's still the Carney goat. It's all Carney all the time. He is the carniest of carniest, and the carniest of carnies.
And yes.
Yeah, it's like top tier carniness. This whole thing. Whatever, man. And he's still in charge of creatives. So there you go. You can look forward to it. Let's do it. Brock Lesnar, Roman Reigns, best of 7 series beginning at SummerSlam.
Yeah, why not? Just tell us you're going to do it now, and you can make it bigger than it actually will be.
It will be the most stupendous best of 7 series ever, Dave. The most stupendous.
Yeah.
And the best part is
you didn't watch, the 91 Braves versus Pirates series, but hey.
And also, the key to this is that the belt doesn't change hands until someone wins the fourth match, and you drag it to 7. 7 straight months of the same match in the main event. Let's go!
Are you ready for the Superman punch? Again, and again, and again.
Well, the problem is, in order to drag it to 7, it can't be Superman punch again and again. It has to be Superman punch, F5, Superman punch, F5, Superman punch, F5. They literally just 50-50 book it until the 7th match.
Could happen, man.
Love it.
Ugh.
Love it. Amazing. And then the 7th one is a the 7th one, do it as a cinematic match. Make it take an hour. Just make it take one straight hour of that shit. Let's go.
Hilarious.
I just want to see how much I can torture.
And they can make one, like they could take it to like Brock Lesnar's ranch in Saskatchewan and have a match there.
No, but I think the key is if you do a cinematic match, they can do space travel.
Why not?
They are fighting at his ranch, and then they're fighting in the island of Samoa because reasons. In the same match, they teleport to the island of Samoa and they continue fighting there. And then they go back.
Lesnar and Roman Reigns in the multiverse of madness.
And then you go to Minnesota for reasons. And then back to the island of Samoa. And all of a sudden, because Roman Reigns will win in the best of 7, to be clear. He'll win match 7. But in the 7th, when they go back to the island of Samoa and the match is about to crescendo, all of a sudden Brock gets clocked with a chair. And it's The Rock. And that ends your cinematic match. Done.
There we go.
Congratulations, everybody. Took 7 months for this shit.
That we all knew was going to happen anyway.
Woo!
But hey, watch our product, please.
It's so bad. It's just atrocious at this point. It's pathetically bad.
Okay. What would you rather have, that or cosplaying Seth Rollins and Becky Lynch?
I choose death.
All right, then.
Yeah, it's enough. I can't do it anymore. Just no. I'm out. We're done. It's over. But yes, on that pleasant note, that concludes episode 133 of the Unnecessary Nonsense podcast. I can't even think of a good sign off. My sign off is I choose death. See y'all in the next episode.